Omo, good news for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. I'm here to tell you how Nigeria can qualify to the World Cup 2026. Fifa'S ruling that is going to help Nigeria, and also their investigation into South Africa for feeding in an ineligible player in the game South Africa played against Lesotho, amongst many others. But before we jump into it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and also turn on notification. My name is Adam. You're watching Sports Corner. Quickly, let's jump into it and take a look at the statement coming from FIFA. It states that FIFA has officially opened disciplinary proceedings against South Africa Football Association and the Bafana midfielder teboho Mokoena. This after Mokoena was fielded while under suspension in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier, which South Africa won by 2-0 against Lesotho on the 21st of March. The case has been referred to the FIFA Disciplinary Committee, with Safa and Mokoena given 6 days to submit their response. If found guilty, Bafana could be forced to forfeit the result of that match, which will hand Lesotho 3-0 victory on paper, while other sanctions such as fines or suspension could be imposed. SAFA, which is the South African Football Association, has yet to issue a public statement on this matter. This is indirectly good news for Nigeria, because Nigeria has been talking about this whole case for a very long period. And finally, FIFA is doing something about it. Now, the reason why FIFA is working on this was because they were already working on a similar case that has to do with Equatorial Guinea. And currently, if you go and check Equatorial Guinea, they have been deducted 3 points for fielding in an ineligible player in a game they played against Namibia. So indirectly, Namibia has 3 points. Yes. And I think this is a similar case with Nigeria too. If South Africa cannot respond in the next 6 days, the 3 points will go to Lesotho and its advantage to Nigeria. Now, let me explain. If you take a look at the table currently as it stands, the table looks like this. Nigeria is on the third position with 11 points. Benin is second with 14 points. And South Africa has 17 points. If that 3 points deduction goes through, that means that South Africa would be having 14 points. Lesotho will now have more points. That means they'll also have 10 points. Then Benin will have 14, Nigeria will have 11, Rwanda will have 11, Lesotho 10, and also Zimbabwe would have 4. So this is advantage to Nigeria. That means Nigeria would have to focus on their last 2 games against Benin and also Lesotho, win them, get their 6 points, and just hope and pray that nature finds them for South Africa to lose at least a game or probably draw a game. That is going to help them go out there. Also, Benin has to also lose. So all the teams above Nigeria would have to at least lose a game in the next or the last 2 games remaining in the World Cup qualifiers. But this is actually a good one for Nigeria. Now, there are a lot of mathematics and permutation ongoing to see if Nigeria can win. But I also believe that there is another case, another FIFA ruling that could see Nigeria qualify for the World Cup. Now, let me explain. This has to do with Eritrea. Eritrea were in Group E, and they have withdrawn themselves from the World Cup qualifiers. Now, FIFA just decided that since Eritrea withdrew themselves, having played less number of games, they are going to be on the bottom. Just to make things fair across board, they have decided that, and I'm going to read, FIFA may exclude results against last place teams in each group to create fairer comparison for second place teams across all groups. This has to do with situation where South Africa still remains on top, but then Nigeria becomes one of the second teams that can play in the playoffs. If this happens, that means that the ruling against Eritrea would see Nigeria forfeit a certain point against the lowest placed team in the group. If you take a look at Nigeria's group currently, the lowest placed group is Zimbabwe. Now, the games Nigeria played against Zimbabwe in the World Cup qualifiers, they drew. First game, it was 1-1, second game 1-1, so 2 points. So in the case where Nigeria is second place team in this group, there would be 2 point deduction if they are looking for the second best place teams in all the groups. This is actually good for Nigeria if you take a look at it. But then, if a country like Lesotho is last in this group, it will be very bad for Nigeria because Nigeria is going to play against Lesotho. If they win that game, that is three points plus the one that they've already played, which is a draw game, which is 1 point. That is 4 points deduction. So at this point, Nigeria would have to beat Lesotho, but also have to pray that Lesotho beats Zimbabwe. Yes, that is the whole mathematics. So let's talk about, okay, let me just break this down into 3 different scenarios. Let's talk about the best case scenario. The best case scenario in all of this is that South Africa will lose at least a game and also get 3 points deduction, and Nigeria will win the rest of their games against Benin and also against Lesotho. It will take them to the top of the table. As simple as that mathematically. Also, another best case scenario for Nigeria would be if they are the second place team in this group, they should hope that Lesotho beats Zimbabwe. That means Zimbabwe has to be the worst team in the group. They have to be the last team in this group, meaning there would be only 2 points deduction from Nigerians' total points based on the ruling from FIFA on Eritrea. But if Lesotho are rather last, if Zimbabwe beat Lesotho, that could really change things in this particular one. Now let's talk about Plan B. Plan B for Nigeria is to play the playoffs. That means if they don't top this group at all, that is in a case where South Africa continues to win the rest of their games, and they don't top this group, they have to settle for the second best place teams. It is only 4. So you have to settle for one of those spots. That is for Nigeria. They have to do every single thing they have to do to be part of the 4 second best place teams in this ongoing World Cup qualifiers. The worst case scenario for Nigeria in all of this is for them to draw or lose a game. Yes, their last 2 games is against Lesotho and Benin. If Nigeria does not know and they drop a point or lose a game against either of these 2 teams or these 2 countries, it is over. Right now, they are being handed a second chance to make it to the World Cup, and these chances do not come lightly. And I think Nigeria needs to take this seriously. The NFF needs to start correcting their mistakes because this is an opportunity for Nigeria to make it to the World Cup. If you take a look at the player pool, if Nigeria do not make this particular World Cup, the next time there is another World Cup, most of these players would have fallen off their peak. They'll be entering into their 30s or probably be more than 30. I'm talking about the likes of the Victor Osimhen, the Ola Ainas, the Iwobis, the Calvin Bassey. They would all be 30 or 30 plus by 2030. That will be the next World Cup if Nigeria misses this particular one. So it is very important Nigeria takes matters into their own hands. At this point, it is in their hands to qualify to the World Cup because they have 2 strong ways to qualify. Right now, they have to hope South Africa, they don't respond in the next 6 days, and the 3-point deduction works. And also, the case of Eritrea applies to Nigeria, hoping that Zimbabwe still remains the last team in this group. If that happens, only 2-point deduction would happen for Nigeria, and it would be very good for them because when the point deduction starts, a lot of teams that have a lot of points would really have a points drop because Nigeria only played 2 draws against Zimbabwe, meaning 2 points deduction. If Lesotho is the last team on this table right now, Nigeria will get a 4 points deduction based on the FIFA ruling according to Eritrea. And this let me just read it so that people understand. It looks like a lot of people do not understand. Now, it says that this is the scenario. Group E competition. Group E now has 5 active teams instead of 6. Group E now has 5 active teams and will have fewer matches compared to the other groups that have 6 teams. Now, the playoff ranking, this has to do with if Nigeria becomes one of the second best placed teams. FIFA may exclude results against the last place team in each group to create a fairer comparison for second place teams across all the groups. So it is very important for Nigeria to pray that Lesotho beats Zimbabwe. So as much as Nigeria would beat Lesotho, you have to be a supporter of Lesotho in their last game against Zimbabwe. So guys, I hope you understand. It is a bit technical, it's a bit mathematical, but I just hope I explained it to you to your understanding. There is a huge opportunity here for Nigeria to qualify to the World Cup. Let me know what you think about all this down below in the comments. FIFA is doing the Lord's work for Nigeria. They did it, against Equatorial Guinea. Trust me, they are going to do it against South Africa. They deducted 3 points from Equatorial Guinea. They are going to do same for South Africa in the next 6 days if there is no response from them. This is where I'm going to end it. My name is Adam. I'll make sure to catch you in the next one. Charlie, we go bye.